welcome to WGBS TV Live, brought to you by SupermanHomepage.com. My name is Steve Eunice. In this, our July 21st, 2020 show, we're going to be covering a range of topics, including some stuff about the Snyder Cut of Justice League. We're going to be talking about Superman, Man of Tomorrow animated movie, comic books, and so much more. And to let you know how you can get involved in tonight's show and how you can participate as a commenter, questioner, caller, here is my co-host, Mr. Michael Bailey. Hey, Michael.
Commenter, questioner, caller. That sounds very public radio. Hey, how you doing this week, Steve?
Yeah, not too bad. Yourself?
I'm doing okay, but once again, people are not interested in what's going on in our lives. They're here to watch Superman because WGBS Live is all about Superman. And because of that, we want to hear from the people that are watching us right now on YouTube. So if we don't have a whole lot to talk about halfway through the show, we are going to start taking your calls. Now, how do you do this? Well, it's really simple. You need Skype. Go into Skype, find Superman homepage, message that you'd like to be part of the show, and wait for us to message you back. So a couple things there. Message us. Don't just call. It screws things up. And two, if you're using an external speaker to watch WGBS Live, please turn that down, because we are on a bit of a delay, and yeah, that can screw things up.
Yes, indeed. And for those tuning in live via YouTube to watch tonight's show, we invite you to join in and chat with fellow fans, post your comment and ask questions. See, there's the comment, questioner, and thing that I just mentioned. Michael and I will keep an eye on those comments throughout the show, so get involved. And if you want your comment featured live on the screen during the show, feel free to post a super chat, adequately named. It's called Super Chat. All you have to do is click on the dollar bill symbol on the screen. A slide will appear, and you decide on a dollar amount that you're prepared to donate to the show, and we'll feature your comment or question on the screen. And a huge thank you to our sponsors and patrons, Douglas Meacham and John Patrick Van Pelt. Mike, it's been a rather slow week in the world of Superman. There's a few big things been happening, some interesting announcements, especially in the form of some massive tabloids and things that DC are going to be publishing, which I'm sure you're excited about. But we like to start with the movie side of things, and DC Today actually published a little bit of a brief post on the Superman Man of Tomorrow animated movie, which is coming out in a couple of months' time. And Tim Sheridan, the screenwriter, had a few things to say about the animated movie, and especially about Darren Criss, the man voicing the role of Superman, who is, from all reports, a pretty big comic book geek, and he was super excited to be taking on the role, and in so much so that they thought he was going to turn up with a cape on just to do his voice production parts.
Hey! He's just being in character. Leave the man alone.
That's right.
Some people want to, wear capes. I mean, I kind of wish it was fashionable again. But actually, not this heat. It is so hot. Oh my God.
One of the things that they're saying about this animated movie is that yes, it does draw inspiration from a variety of comic book sources, including Superman American Alien, which you were concerned about. Also Superman Birthright, with a touch of several others, but as well as the fertile imagination of screenwriter Tim Sheridan as well. So it's kind of a blend of a number of different things.
I'll be interested to see what the Birthright elements are.
He's probably a vegetarian.
Who sees auras around people, yeah. Which, it was a thing. I don't like to fault Mark Waid often, especially when it comes to Superman, because he's such a fan of the character and has probably forgotten more about Superman than I will ever learn. But yeah, I'll be interested to see what the influences are. It was like when Man of Steel came out, and you were like, almost want to do like a little pop-up video thing of, this is from Man of Steel, this is from blah blah blah. And now, of course, you have to say which Man of Steel, because there's three. But whatever.
So, this animated movie will be released digitally August 23rd, so in a month's time. And then the Blu-ray and HD combo packs are coming out September 8th. So, from all everything I've seen so far, I'm looking forward to this. It's going to be a new and unique version of the animated version of Superman compared to what we've seen in recent times.
Yeah, again, I'm not like jumping up and down excited, but I'm also not like dreading it. So it's just every time I see that costume, I'm like, that needed another pass. Someone else needed to look at that and give some notes.
Yeah, I can't disagree there. I think that it probably could have had a bit more work done on it, but especially around the belt trunks area. But these always seem to look worse in stills than they do in animated form or in action. So it might be something that we just kind of skip over once we're actually seeing the movie. But when in stills, it's hard to miss.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so on the rest of the movie front of things, Zack Snyder participated in an interview with Beyond the Trailer, and I'm not a big fan of the lady who's the interviewer. She just seems to want to talk over everybody she interviews and interrupt them all the time instead of giving them the space to say what she's asked them about. But in this interesting interview, Zack speaks about Superman, and I'm going to play a bit of a clip from what he had to say in regards to whether or not he likes the evil Superman that this woman seems to be a big fan of.
I really like evil Superman. You like evil Superman. A lot of people, just like Batman, don't trust the guy. Why do you think the darker side of the Man of Steel is so appealing to people, and will we see more of that in the Snyder Cut?
Well, do I love the evil Superman? I'm not 100% sure if that's true. Other than that, I will say I love the idea of Superman going on a journey with his character, I love the idea of Superman having to like reconcile his morality, reconcile his place on Earth, reconcile like his love affair with Lois and how that affects the way he relates to humanity and all those things, as we all do with the normal relationships we all have in our daily lives. So
There it was, just a bit of the Zack Snyder interview where he talks about Superman needing to feel grounded or feel relatable, and I've never been really a big fan of that take of the Man of Steel. I've always, while I enjoyed Man of Steel and to a lesser extent the following movies, and it was an interesting take on Superman based in reality. I'm not all for the whole having to find himself, having to be relatable. I'd rather he be inspiring.
Yeah, we've had this conversation a bunch of times over the last 10 years, and I think Superman is a tough needle to thread because you do want him to be inspirational, but you also, especially in terms of like a movie, it's an easier sell because you have 2.5 hours of real estate. So you don't have a whole lot of time to really get into the nitty gritty of things. On the other hand, my favorite era of Superman, which is in the late 80s and through the 90s, Superman was an ongoing, sometimes weekly character. So on that level, you can't have inspiration every week. You can't. That would get really, really dull. So it's tough because it seems like some people, their way into Superman is to make Superman palatable to them.
Mm.
And that makes sense. I think you could say the same thing for Jesus in a lot of ways, that there are people who are very dogmatic and there are others who are a little more easygoing when it comes to how literally you're supposed to take the Gospels. And then there are people that need to figure out the humanity of Jesus to kind of tag into who he was as a person. I'm not saying Superman is Jesus. I'm not a fan of the Jesus allegory, as a matter of fact. But I've got a couple questions about this interview. Is she recording inside an elevator? Because
I think it's a fake background, making out like she
uh,
lives in some kind of high-rise building.
yeah, yeah, she looks like Steve Rogers is about to walk in and say, before anything happens, does anybody want to get out? In all honesty, two, is Zack Snyder like vying to be Wolverine in the MCU? Because what in the hell is with his hair? No, I couldn't hear that, unfortunately, and work has kept me from like doing anything fun recently. So I just, I don't have anything outside of a few comments he's made. I honestly, at this point, just don't have anything against Zack Snyder. He seems genuinely excited that the Justice League thing is happening. And I guess if a bunch of people were suddenly paying attention to me, I'd be excited too. But, he puts in the work. I mean, I could disagree with him all day, but he doesn't halfway do what he does. So it's not like, well, I respect him, but I disagree with him. It's more like, for Superman to work for him, he's got to break him down to being a person who isn't sure of himself. And I think the key to Superman is that at some point, whether it's before he puts on the costume or even like a few weeks into him putting on the costume, there comes a point where he's just like, no, this is my job. We're going to be talking about the Dan Jurgens thing. I think is that on the tally for today? Okay. I thought I saw it, but then I'm like, Mike, you could not speak when you got home from work today, so maybe you need to double check that. And it was a separate thing for probably what we're going to talk about. Somebody asked him what the difference between Captain America and Superman is, and he gave the most perfect answer to that. And it encapsulates why Dan Jurgens is my absolute favorite Superman creator. It's that Cap is comfortable stepping into the limelight. He's wearing the flag. That in and of itself makes it that he is willing to step up and give a speech. Superman isn't comfortable doing that because that isn't what Superman thinks he should do. And I think the more people clue in on that there is this in Kingdom Come, Mark Waid wrote that Superman's biggest fallibility is that he cannot see himself as the leader he is. And that to me is Superman. It's not someone who's not unsure of himself. It's somebody who is very sure of himself, but is not sure that he is the one that should step up and lead humanity. So it's why I will always... I like Man of Steel. I rewatched it recently. Boy, is it slow in the middle. like there's a part where I literally fell asleep. And I woke up and he's talking to the priest, and I went right back to sleep. And then when that action kicks in, it's just like, oh, we're done with the talky talk. It's just, we're going to tear up as much real estate as humanly possible. But God love him, he pushed his vision, he went for it, and at this point, even though this is going to seem weird, I disagree with his vision, but Warner Brothers should have just let it play out. If you're going to go that far, don't stop.
Yeah, no, exactly. So, it'll be interesting to see. He also talks about the fact that this version of the Justice League is outside of the DCEU continuity, so it's obviously not something they're planning to do moving forward, and that seems to be, the correct way to go. If this is just a kind of a special that you're doing, something that's an interest to a lot of people, because it's not what we got in the theaters. Not what we got to see theatrically, so it's just his version that he had planned the best of the way he can do it via HBO Max, and I think it will be more than a piece of interest than, say, the Donner cut was. That was like, okay, it's 20, 30 years later, here's what we pieced together to kind of scratch that itch, but I think here it'll probably be more on par with the theatrical cut as far as people deciding which version they want.
Yeah, Snyder hasn't directed like 50 movies between
Yeah.
Justice League and this cut. It's 5 years ago at this point. It's probably still no, not even that. It's going to be like 4 years. So he's probably still got all of his notes and his the script things and like everything he wanted to do. I honestly think that it's going to be something. This is going to sound weird. I'll probably end up enjoying it more than the theatrical cut, even if I disagree with what it says.
Yeah, so I think there'll be probably more of Superman under Darkseid's anti-life equation, more of the dark side of Superman than we got in Joss Whedon's version. So that probably might not sit well with us as Superman fans, but we'll just have to wait and see and how it pans out in early 2021.
Yeah. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, same. And to celebrate, sorry, not early 2021, later this, later. When is it going to be? It's going to be early 2020, isn't it? Or
yeah, I thought it was 2021.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're going to need a couple months to work on this.
Yeah, exactly. But to celebrate the upcoming release of Snyder's cut of Justice League, they're putting together a Justice Con, a weekend-long virtual event, which will celebrate this cut coming. It will be online. It will take place, as I said, over July 25 and July 26, and it will be a number of panels featuring several of the film's stars and crew, and amongst those will be the Roy Porter, the actor who was Darkseid in the films, cinematographer Fabian Wagner, and the man himself, director Zack Snyder. It's hosted by Nerd Queens in association with the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention and Ink to the People. And Justice Con will be available to stream for free via the Justice Con YouTube channel. And there is a schedule of events up on our website. Some of the people involved there, you can see Clay Enos, the photographer, on the 26th. You've got Jay Oliver, Ray Fisher, Zack Snyder, and a number of others across the 2 days. So you'll be able to check all that out for free on July 25th and July 26th online.
For a second there, I thought you said John Oliver, and I'm like, okay.
No, Jay Oliver.
I'd love to get his take on Justice League. I don't know if he's a superhero fan or not. I know he likes other nerdy things. So
yeah. So yeah, check that out. The schedule on our website and the link to the Justice Con YouTube channel is there as well. And that's this coming weekend, July 25th, July 26th. So if you're got time, check it out. I will see and report on all the events that happen that are relevant to the Superman homepage early next week. All right, still on the movie side of things, we reported a couple of weeks back that a Christopher Reeve screen-worn cape was going to be sold at auction via julianslive.com. It was expected to fetch between $20,000 and $40,000, and it has sold now for $137,000, $500. So
yeah, I was sniped right there at the end. It was kind of annoying.
Yeah, you're closer.
Yeah, I was just in there driving the price up, just to be a jerk.
Now primarily used for both studio blue screen traveling mat and wire flying, and the studio's optic front projection flying. The bright red cape has the yellow S on the back. It was used in Superman the movie and Superman 2. It may have also been used in Superman 3. And as I said, it sold for $137,000 US, and that ended on July 17th, that auction. So what an item to have as a collectible if you've got that kind of money.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be nice as a centerpiece in anybody's collection. I'm always fascinated by the S's in the Superman films. There is such a homemade look to it.
Yes.
Like, if you look at the Lois and Clark costume, that's a very, like, the S may be a little wonky in certain costumes, but it always looks like, well, except that one with the shoulder pads, which was terrible. It always looks like it was made on Krypton.
Mm.
Whereas the capes in Superman the movie always look like the back S was sewn on by Ma Kent like 30 seconds before he walked on the screen.
So true, the black stitching and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So well done to the purchaser of that Christopher Reeve cape, an iconic piece of movie memorabilia. All right, on the television side of things, and continuing with the theme of virtual experiences that you can do online, Fan Expo Canada are holding virtual experiences powered by Fan Expo headquarters, where you can join interactive Q&As and a slew of online activities with an amazing roster of guests, including members of the cast of Smallville. Now, for fans who are interested in this, the virtual experiences, or this virtual experience for the Smallville virtual Q&A will take place on July 30th. So July 30th at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, an hour-long virtual free panel with Tom Welling, Michael Rosenbaum, and Kristen Krug, who will be dialing into the virtual studio to talk shop and answer your questions. But you can also go ahead and, while this is free, this Q&A, you have the opportunity to purchase private one-on-one chats, get an autograph, receive personalized recordings, and much more as part of the extras that are available in this Fan Expo Canada.
Wow. I'm sorry. I forgot how young Tom Welling looked in some of those early promotional photos. It's going to be weird coming up on the fact that next year is the 20th anniversary of the first season of Smallville.
I know what you mean.
I mean, I'm not ready for that. I don't think I'm emotionally ready for that, for it to be 2 decades.
Yes, it's aging us, isn't it?
The world is aging us right now, but that's entirely beside the point.
So you need a free ticket for this. It's a 1-hour event, and you need to get it from fanexpocanada.com. So if you're a Smallville fan and that's something you want to do, Michael, what would be the one question you would want to ask either of the 3 actors?
Tom, do you ever get sick of people asking you to play Superman?
That's just like a one-word answer for that. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, no, but it's just like how, like, what is it really like inside his head? I mean, Rosenbaum, there's like 15 billion questions you can ask. Christian Crook, did you ever get sick of standing on the apple, the apple cart that you had to stand on? I mean, here's the thing: is that Kristen Crook seems to be one of those people that, even though she's still working, she seems to be an incredibly private person. Like, you never, well, one, she never got involved with anything that could quite cause headlines. But I always got, and especially with her interview with Michael Rosenbaum, I also got the feeling that she was like Tom. She was there to work.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, they're having fun. They're, but it's long hours, and I'm sure there was frustrating things. But it's just, I think because she left the series earlier than anybody else, because she left before Rosenbaum, that was just an indication to me that it was a job for her, a job that she did as well as she could. But, does she look at it that way? Or was there something more emotional for her when she was playing the role? That's what I would ask her.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, because while you are playing an iconic character, because she's gone on and done other stuff, and continually worked since Smallville, it probably was for her just another job, where I think Tom's found it harder to escape the role, and Michael's gone on to do other things, and he just seemed to have fun with it and seems to embrace it for what it was, where Tom for the longest time tried to hide from it, or so it seemed. I think with Kristen, it was just like, yeah, I did that, and now I'm doing other stuff now.
Yeah, it's just like, I was on Chuck, and I was on Beauty and the Beast, and she's done something recently. I forget what it is.
Yeah.
But, she's living in Canada, and, living the life that she wants to live. It's amazing to me that we lived for a time where we were just so wrapped up in who these actors were. And it's really unfair at the end of the day. I mean, it's really unfair to project, and I'm talking in a very, very broad general sense. It's really hard. It's really unfair to project what you're feeling about a character onto an actor that probably doesn't have as much say into the role as you might think. I mean, I'm sure Tom, especially towards the end when he was a producer, probably had a little more creative input. But at the end of the day, you're dealing with showrunners and writers and producers and a network. And the criticisms that a lot of people had about Smallville were always valid. But unfortunately for me, it always broke down because I'm like, well, this is a network show. You're wanting it to be something that it's not. It is a network show geared towards a young audience. It's why Lois and Clark was the way it was. That wasn't so much a show about Superman. That was a romance with superpowers. And so the action was never as good because that wasn't where their focus was. So it's just... I revisited the second and third season of Smallville recently, and recently as in last year, and I was shocked at how good it was. Like, it held up, like some of the special effects did, but like they put together a solid weekly show geared towards teenagers, and I think that's really what it needs to be remembered for.
Yeah, definitely. And I think there were a lot of people who watched Smallville who didn't necessarily understand that it was a Superman show. And so for them it was entertaining regardless of its comic book connections.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, we're at the halfway point of tonight's show. So we're going to take a quick break, play some messages, and then come back on the flip side to talk about the comic book side of things. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back right after these messages.
We'll be back in a moment with the exciting climax of today's episode. So stand by.
Look, up in the sky.
It's a bird.
It's a plane. No, it's SupermanHomepage.com, the #1 Superman fan site in the world. SupermanHomepage.com, covering the world of Superman from the 1930s to today. News, reviews, rumors, and reports. SupermanHomepage.com for all your Superman comics, TV shows, movies, cartoons, radio shows, and more. Everything you ever wanted to know about the Man of Steel and more. SupermanHomepage.com.
Thanks, Superman Homepage, for all the support over the years. I really appreciate it.
I'm Matt Bomer, the voice of Superman and Superman Unbound, and this is the Superman Homepage.
Right here on Superman Homepage.
Coming from the farthest reaches of the universe to challenge the worst villains on Earth are the most powerful heroes ever in the battle of the Superpowers Collection. Can it be the Supermobile on the attack, the Lexor 7 armed with kryptonite? Will the Supermobile repel those deadly rays?
You bet. Ready for battle. Activate RAM.
New from Kenner's Superpowers Collection. Vehicles and figures with power action, each sold separately. Flying lessons for Penguin, fish bait for Luther. Can the Supermobile defeat the Lexor 7? You decide.
And we're back on WGBS TV Live, where, as Michael explained at the beginning of the show, if you want to be part of tonight's show as the caller, head to Skype, search for Superman Homepage, and send us a message saying you'd like to be a caller, and we will contact you. I always find that Kenner 1983 TV commercial funny, where the spaceship breaks over the the pyramid of plastic cups. I'm thinking someone was playing beer pong.
Yes. Lexor 7 was a neat toy.
All right.
I don't know. Have you ever seen one?
Not in person?
Like up close?
No.
Okay. So there are ostensibly like things you hook Lex Luthor in with.
Okay.
But they come out and there's things on the Lex Luthor action figure to plug them into so that when he's in the ship, it's recharging his power suit.
How cool is that?
Yeah, I was like, that's clever. Look at those guys. It's like they put thought into this or something.
Yeah. Nice. All right. On the comic book side of things, as I mentioned, there really is only one physical comic book for Superman fans this week, and that, if I get my pictures up ready, is Action Comics 1023, and that is the cover for it there. A dialogue cover, the Red Cloud attacking Superman there. Superman looking very gaunt, or his face is very aligned with a lot of marks, but that's the variant cover, which is actually part of the background to our website at the moment. So that's Action Comics 1023. Also available digitally as part of the ongoing DC Digital First Publishing Program is Superman Man of Tomorrow number 12, and that's available to download right now as well.
Yeah, I need to pick that up, and then I need to read them and at some point. But no, I like that series is continuing. I thought it was going to stop after 6 issues like the last one did, but they're really pushing forward with that.
Yeah, and this is new material, people. This is not reprints of the Walmart comic books. Robert Venditti has been doing an excellent job with these Man of Tomorrow digital comic books. And while they're mostly self-contained stories, the last couple have had a little bit of a sneak to an ongoing thing, that like an underlying thread that he's picking up on. So it's well worth checking out. I've been enjoying the Man of Tomorrow comic books more than what Action Comics and Superman are giving me at the moment, which is no surprise. Really.
Yeah. I'm not saying that after when Bendis finally leaves, as has been hinted at, that you should give Tom Taylor and Robert Venditti each, one of the books. But I'm just saying, really, you need to give Tom Taylor and Robert Venditti, Action and Superman, and see where they go.
Yeah, or you can give them Superman in Action.
Yeah.
The other way around. It could be either way will work for me.
Some people like going both ways.
So those are the 2 comic books really available either digitally or the other one in print. And our reviewer James Lance has already submitted his review for Action Comics 1023, and he loves what Bendis is doing on these books, especially this one. He's given it a 5 out of 5, saying, I sincerely needed a good Superman story, and this is, in spite of its use of parenthetical expressions, a good book.
Yeah, I still remain entirely
ambivalent.
It does my heart good that James loves what Bendis is doing. It's like somebody's happy with what they're reading, so that makes me happy.
Well, he does give JRJR's artwork a 4 out of 5. He does admit that Romita did a better job with his Marvel books back when he was drawing them.
Artists
change their art style, but why? Like, if you've got something good and you're finding that people aren't jibing with your new version, then
he's also a little older.
Yeah,
I mean, he's been drawing comics since like the late 70s. So it's almost been in the business for like 50 years. So
yeah, I guess he can do what he wants. If he's getting hired to do what he's getting asked to do, then as long as they're happy. How do you tell someone who's been in the role, in the industry for 50 years, listen, these pages aren't good enough, go back and do it again?
Yeah, you hired me for a reason.
Yeah.
Let me go.
So, but looking further ahead, DC Comics released their October solicitations this past week, and we listed all the Superman-related books that are part of that. And of special note was Action Comics 1026, which I'm bringing up for you right now. I'll just hide that one. So, Action Comics 1026, it's the Superman family versus everybody. In the blistering conclusion to the epic House of Kent saga, huge choices are made to defend the great city of Metropolis. Plus, amid all the chaos, the new owner of the Daily Planet is revealed, and it's Jimmy Olsen, guest starring Jonathan Kent, Connor Kent, Supergirl, and the Legion of Superheroes.
It's a good cover. I'll give it that.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. And then we've got Superman number 26. As Superman deals with the continuing fallout from the world knowing his truth as Clark Kent, he finds himself faced with a physical threat beyond anything he has ever faced before. No, it's not Doomsday. Sinmar travelled across the universe to destroy the Man of Steel. How can Superman contain the havoc this new foe will cause so that everything he has sworn to protect doesn't collapse with him. Sinmar.
Yeah, I'm still not entirely sold on that name. So I like in the solicitations that there is yet another edition of Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow coming out, a deluxe edition this time. Also of note for 90s kids, there's a 25th anniversary printing of Underworld Unleashed. Okay. And I'm happy that they're putting out a second volume to the Superman City of Tomorrow trades, which reprint the trades the early 2000 books, or
Volume
books from
2.
the early 2000s. So I picked up the first one recently. It's a handsome volume, so I'm kind of glad they're putting another one out.
So, yeah, that's the October solicitations. You can check out all the cover artwork and all the Superman books at our website, including the trades that come out a bit later than that, but are solicited in this collection. And the deceased books, talking of Tom Taylor, as we were before, Dead Planet #1 is now heading back for a second printing. This will feature a black and white version of the cover that it's the same artwork that was done before, but by what's his name, David Finch, and this will be available, let's see here, it says August 4th. Oh, that's DC Planet #2 will be August 4th. This will probably come out the week ahead of that. Oh, new printing, no, August 4th as well. So August 4th for the second printing of Deceased Dead Planet #1, and then Dead Planet #2 also hits shelves that same week. So, yep, that's Deceased Dead Planet gone back for a second printing. And then these are the ones I wanted to talk to you about, Michael.
Yes.
It was announced this week that DC is about to republish The Amazing World of Superman. This was a 1973 publication, an oversized comic book. It was pretty much, it intended to be a cornerstone for a proposed theme park of the same name. The attraction closed in 1974. This is a gallery named The Amazing World of Superman, opened in 1973, closed in 1974 for a number of different reasons, and the theme park that was supposed to follow did not ever come to fruition.
Yeah, this is going to sound funny. This is one of the first things I bought on eBay.
Oh, wow.
I found a copy for inexpensive, and it kind of started my love of treasury editions, which is what it was sized like. But it had this really, you're showing that picture of the amusement park that looks like it's supposed to be in the middle of the ocean. This thing, God, I'm glad they didn't build this thing. I mean, it would have been cool, but can you imagine, like, in the 80s when it went to seed? And how creepy it would be. Like, you would set horror movies there where the animatronic Superman's like, "Hello, citizen." But it has that beautiful map of Krypton. I mean, it's just this really neat little time capsule of Superman in the mid 70s. I'm excited. This is going to be one of the ones that I pick up when it comes out, because it's just a neat concept.
Yeah, so this will be published in April 2021, April 13th to be exact. It's a tabloid-sized edition, and it will be a reprint of the masterpiece that'll include stories, Superman Land with Lex Luthor, Superboy stories, How to Draw Superman, Superman Family Portrait, and many, many more. So that will come out April 13th, 2021. And also coming out on that same date is a republication of the 1,328-page Who's Who of the DC Universe. What is your recollection of this?
Oh, I loved Who's Who. Who's Who, when I didn't read it as it came out because I wasn't collecting at the time, but when I was in the really primordial days of going to comic shops and stuff, I pieced together a run, and it was my primer to the DC Universe, the Fire and Water Network. podcasting network has had a show where they went through every issue of all of the series. They're in the middle of the binder editions now, and it's just the fact that they're finally reprinting this is kind of a miracle. No pun intended that you're showing Mr. Miracle right now, but the thing about this this series is that they were gonna do a like a showcase presents of it, like a black and white reprinting, but it never happened. And I'm wondering if it's because this was done during a time, especially when DC was giving very good reprints rights to superheroes. I mean, to their creators. And when you reprinted it, you had to pay like everybody involved, and every page was drawn by a different person. So you have like a 32-page comic, and you have potentially like 32 people you have to track down. But I'm really glad it's dated, but it's good stuff.
Yeah, so this was a series that ran from 1985 right through the 1990s. Catalogued every character, good or evil, in the DC universe, and had copious amounts of detail on their powers, origins, and other key facets of each of the characters. It was illustrated by a number of top artists from the Golden Age right through to the 1980s. It's ultimate guide to the denizens of the DC universe. And as I said, Who's Who Omnibus Volume 1 will be released April 13th, 2021. And we just had a question that popped up there from John about who remembers Christopher Reeve's appearance on Smallville. And that was one of the better episodes back in Smallville, speaking of that TV series. And many people saw it as the passing of the torch from Chris to Tom, but that's debatable.
Yeah, it was more of the generation before the last generation coming in and saying nice things, I guess.
All right, you wanted to mention this, and it was on the list. Dan Jurgens participated in a live Periscope interview today with Word Balloon, and he talks about many different things, but he does about the, I think, 21-minute mark, start speaking about Superman, and he's working on the Rebirth era, and his thoughts on Brian Michael Bendis and Action Comics and Superman at the moment, and a whole different slew of things. I didn't get to listen to the whole interview, but by all accounts, it's well worth checking out and does go for quite a while. So it's Dan Jurgens is always a great person to interview. He always has a lot to say.
Oh yeah. It's nicest guy ever. It's interesting. He I don't like to try to like look at an interview and try to guess what the person's thinking. Because that's, you're never going to know that. If you're wanting to watch this interview for him to tear Brian Michael Bendis apart, it's not going to happen. Spoiler warning. He is very complimentary to certain things that Bendis has done while not mentioning other things. So it's just like, are those the things that he disagrees with, but he's not saying anything because, it's just the kind of guy Dan is. It was interesting hearing him talk about the many times he was asked to come in and kind of work on Superman, and that he almost turned him down on his first go round with the New 52 Superman. I'm sure there's more to that story, because that just seemed like a terrible time for Superman and to be working in those offices. But it was a good interview. I enjoyed it. I find that watching somebody in an interview like this instead of listening to it on a podcast is a different experience. But as I block my face from the camera, that's professional, Mike. Good job. But no, the interview is well worth watching because Dan has such a firm grasp on what he believes, and his thoughts on Superman are pretty much my thoughts on Superman, so that there's a little confirmation bias going on there. But he goes into why the idea of breaking Superman isn't a good idea. and it's my favorite part of the interview, because he just basically puts it in the most simplistic terms that you can't, like if your idea is to break Superman, then you don't really understand the character.
Now, a number of people are asking, where can we see this interview? Head to supermanhomepage.com. It's one of the top news items on our website. It says Dan Jurgens talks about Superman, Rebirth, and Bendis. You can't miss it. It's on supermanhomepage.com on the front page, and the video is in the post there. So head to our website to check out the interview with Dan Jurgens. But if you're interested to find its original source, it's on Twitter or Periscope. John Word Balloon is the name of the account, but just head to our website. It's all there for you to see in full. Check it out on our website. So yeah, Dan Jurgens is a great guy to interview. He's been on our show a few years ago now, wasn't it?
Did we interview Dan? I think we interviewed Dan.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Probably pretty early.
We interviewed
on.
a lot of people.
Yeah, back in the day, we did a lot of interviews.
We've had him on from Crisis to Crisis about 4 times.
Yeah.
So he's
a big
very
man
willing
in person. Have you ever run?
He is. See, I haven't met him in person.
Wow.
That's where I hate all my friends, because they've gotten a chance to meet him, and I've never gotten a chance to shake hands. Well, not that I would shake hands with him now, anyways, because we don't do that anymore.
I crossed paths with him coming out of the world premiere of Batman v Superman in New York City. He was crossing the street one way and I was going the other way, and I just went, "Hi Dan, love your work," and he went, "Oh, thank you," and walked right past each other. But he towers. I mean, I'm not the biggest guy. I'm only 5'5", but
yeah, you're about my height, so I was about to say.
He towered above me. He's a big guy, but a lovely man. All right. Speaking of going to the Superman homepage, while you're there trying to check out the Dan Jurgens interview, you might want to participate in our giveaway. We've got a giveaway contest going on at the moment. Yes, there's no San Diego Comic-Con, but you don't have to miss out on all the goodies. You can, thanks to us and fun.com, try to win a Superman cookie jar. And here is what it looks like right here. That's the Superman cookie jar. It's, in the likeness of the Man of Steel, and filled with whatever your favorite treats are. Right there are some choc chip cookies, and it's priced at $59.99, so it's
that's not bad.
$60, but you could win it for free. All you have to do is head to our website, supermanhomepage.com, find the giveaway contest, and answer a very simple question. You've got until just before midnight on Sunday, July 26th, so you've got a couple of days to enter the contest. We'll notify the winner on the website on Monday, July 27th. And as you can see there, obviously, the cape and shoulders and head removed from the bust, and that's where the treats are hidden inside of.
Yes, if you want the cookies, you have to decapitate the Man of Steel.
So, head to our website. Got a couple of days to enter this giveaway contest. It's free for everyone. Just get involved. And on a nice story front, the Funko Pop people are doing a pink version of a number of vinyl figures, including Superman, to raise awareness for Breast Cancer Month, which takes place in October. Breast Cancer Awareness Month. They've already made a donation of $25,000 to the Breast Cancer Research Foundation to help in the aid of their mission to prevent and cure breast cancer. And these figures, there's Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman, and Harley Quinn. And here are close-ups of the Superman figure, which are available to order today. And Superman comes in a window box display.
Yeah, I ordered them. I actually went ahead. I have a very personal connection to any kind of breast cancer research. My mother passed away when I was 17, and so when I saw these, I was just like, I don't get Funko Pops very often, and I know some people think that they're stupid and they're overblown, and that one day we're all gonna die when they finally just take over the world. But I really I looked at these, and I was just going to get Superman and Batman, but Rachel really liked the way Wonder Woman and Harley Quinn looked, so we just got all four. I mean, it's a good cause.
Nice.
And I really recommend, if you wanna do something good with your money and get something that's kind of adorable, go ahead and order it.
Yeah, exactly. Now, because Comic-Con in San Diego isn't taking place, Factory Entertainment are doing a consolation con with some exclusives, and they're doing a Superman metal miniature. And here is a look at this metal miniature from Factory Entertainment. It's part of a series that includes Batman, Wonder Woman, and Cyborg. And this 1:32 scale figure, you can see it there next to a quarter. It features a highly detailed finish and was spun, cast in small batches, and hand painted to exacting standards, perfect for any discerning collector. This is valued at $40 and it's available to pre-order now from Factory Entertainment, and you can do so through our website. The link is there. It'll ship the week of August 24.
It looks like Superman's doing,
Yeah, punching through a wall. It's interesting, in still the non-trunk version, the rebirth,
Yeah, it is crazy that they still are like all over the place with the merchandise. I mean, it's not like they're positioning this as, hey, this is a such and such Superman, and we're doing this on purpose. It's just like, no, this is Superman. It's crazy.
Yeah, exactly. It's a bit weird. But we do have time for This Week in History, and we may have a time for a caller as well. But let's get the This Week in History done, and I've got the images ready to go whenever you are. But here is your intro. Where is it? History. Here we go.
Come with me now, my son, as we break through the bonds of your earthly confinement, traveling through time and space.
Alrighty, we are deep into... This is actually a weird week because there's decades where there's nothing. We have Action Comics number 28, which came out on July 23rd, 1940, which has Superman in the Strong Arm Robberies. It's a pretty good Paul Cassidy cover on that one. Also features stories about Pep Morgan, the Black Pirate, the Three Aces, Tex Thompson, which has a really racist sidekick, Clip Carson, and Zatara. Yeah, don't look too deeply into the Tex Thompson script, folks. Folks. It'll break your heart every time. So, like the 50s, the 60s, and the 70s, nothing in the week that I usually cover on this. But if you go to the 80s, we start picking up again. You have the New Adventures of Superboy, number 10. Which had The Town That Time Remembered, and a Crypto story. Yay, Crypto, the super watchdog of Smallville. Crypto stories around this time are kind of weird because he has thought balloons. You had Super Friends number 37. So I was surprised that this series went this long. But it also had a Super Friends, Bad Weather for Supergirl, and who was never on the Super Friends cartoon, I might add, which was kind of the appeal of the comic.
Yeah.
And it had a Global Guardian story, The Giant Who Shrunk Ireland. You also have Action Comics number 512, Luther's Day of Reckoning, where Superman is for some reason making out with a bald chick. I assume that's somebody's cosplaying as V'ger from Star Trek The Motion Picture, but I don't have any evidence on that. And it had an airwave backup, The Sinister Spectacle of the Sunspotter. Jumping to 1990, you're right in the middle of my wheelhouse. Superman number 47, Lives in the Balance, where you are in the second part of the Soul Search storyline. Can't recommend that enough. That does not feel like it was 30 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Jumping ahead to the year 2000, which is sadly 20 years ago, you have Superboy number 78. This was the era of Superboy where he didn't have any powers. And he was wearing a pretty cool black t-shirt that would eventually become his costume. It's kind of funny. Grummett and Kessel were kind of ahead of the game on that. You have the Elseworlds Superman Last Son on Earth. I have absolutely no memory of this thing. I remember buying it.
Yeah, this was it's like flipped on its head. The kid was, this is all set on Earth. Earth is about to be destroyed, so they have to send the boy off to Krypton to be saved.
Okay, that sounds like something Steve Gerber would do. It's one of the, I think, 5 billion Elseworlds that were published around this time period.
Very true.
You also had Superman, the Man of Steel number 104. We are still in the Emperor Joker story, but we don't know that it's the Emperor Joker story yet because we haven't gotten to the special.
That's right.
But I love these playing card covers.
Yeah.
They're really cool. And I love that cover. I mean, that armor for John. Rounding out in 2010, you had Supergirl number 54, which was still in the Sterling Gates Jamal Igle run. Cannot recommend that stuff enough.
Very short.
Yeah, but Igle put shorts under it. Yes. So I remember being impressed with that. You had Superman, Batman number 74, which was written by Paul Levitz with art by Jerry Ordway. I reviewed this 10 years ago for the Superman homepage. That's kind of weird. Time Master's Vanishing Point. Speaking of Dan Jurgens, a storyline that I don't really see too much positive about, in all honesty. There seems to be a lot of people that just don't like this story. And in the real world, we have a couple things. We have Terrence Stamp, General Zod, born on July 22nd, 38, excuse me.
Yes, born the same year as Superman was created.
July 25th is traditionally recognized as the birthday of Lois Lane.
Lucy
Lane. Lucy Lane, excuse me. And that is it for This Week in History.
Well, there you have it. So that's pretty cool, and that kind of gets us to the end of the show pretty much. Sorry to Mark, who did offer himself up as a caller for tonight's show. We apologise that we did not have an opportunity to get you on to tonight's show, but we appreciate your willingness to be on the show. We always love to be able to speak to Mark and anyone who wants to call and chat with us. And yes, there is another Bibbo request there from Venkman.
Yeah, I'm ready for it.
But before we do sign off for tonight's show, I'd like to thank everyone for watching tonight's episode of WGBS TV. And once again, thank you to all those who called into, who were on the YouTube to comment and participate. And thank you to the guys who offered up super chats. And a big thank you to you, my co-host, Mr. Michael Bailey. Thanks, Mike.
Pleasure as always, Steve. I'm going to go get a soda.
And a huge thank you to our sponsors and patrons, Douglas Meacham and John Patrick Van Pelt. And if you want to sponsor the Superman homepage, there's two ways of doing it. You can head to patreon.com/Superman homepage, or you can join our YouTube channel as a member. And you can do the Patreon just part of, there's on Patreon and on YouTube different levels of perks that you can join up from as little as $1 upwards. But if you want to sponsor the show, there is a certain level of membership for that as well. Now, the complete 1 hour video of tonight's show will remain available on our website and our YouTube channel. If you'd like to watch it back, or perhaps you missed part of the show and want to see it all, you can do so on our website and YouTube. But we'll be back next week for our final show of July, and that will be on Tuesday, July 28th at 7:30 p.m. Pacific time for another edition of WGBS TV Live. Look forward to talking to you then. Until then, be sure to check out supermanhomepage.com for all your daily news updates on everything surrounding the Man of Steel. I'm Steve Yunus on behalf of myself and Michael Bailey. Thanks for watching WGBS TV Live, brought to you by supermanhomepage.com.